Okay, hey guys. Holy shit, it's been a couple of weeks since I've done one of these, and I feel like so much life has happened. Okay, I want to talk about two things. I want to talk a little bit about where I'm at just in my life right now. I want to talk about just a lot of gratitude. And then I have some room or something, energy within me that wants to talk about religion and faith and whatnot. And I think in some ways they'll kind of all connect together. We'll see how it goes. So yesterday I finished my final showcase. So every year at TKS I run these big showcases where all the kids at the end, showcase their projects. And holy shit, like yesterday was fucking awesome. It was so good. And I've done this for 4 years now, and there's some like interesting realizations that came out yesterday. So when kids, so for some of you who don't know what I do at TKS is I coach young people over 10 months, and I'm kind of like their life coach, and I train them to do really cool things, like build technology, do important research, and at the end of the day, just do meaningful things that fulfills them. Like that's really what I'm doing at the end of the day, right? And so after the showcase yesterday, the kids would come in and say, Pranav, you've changed my life, you've done all this. And what's interesting is now that I've done this for 4 years, when someone comes and says, Pranav, you've changed my life, it's just interesting to notice how I've gotten used to that feeling. Meaning, the dopamine rush I get from hearing those words, over time, it doesn't have the dopamine rush anymore. Not saying I'm not grateful for it, but I just noticed that within myself. And then the next immediate thought was like, holy shit, how, what a privilege it is to get used to this feeling of young people telling you that, you've changed your lives, I mean, at some point, I don't do this because I want to hear those things, to be perfectly honest. In fact, I just rather kids not tell me, but they do because it's such a fulfilling program. And it just kind of makes me realize, if I were to go back to my younger self, like when I was I remember in university, early on, I was very early on interested in education. And if 2016 Pranav looked at 2026 Pranav, I don't think he would fully believe what it is that I'm doing right now. And it's kind of crazy how my life has actually unfolded. I think I'm actually I'm fully expressing myself as an educator as much as humanly possible, through TKS and then through dance, teaching 100 something plus students there on how to dance bachata, and then as an instructor in engineering. I feel really grateful that this is the life that I have. This is so sick. My entire life is just to train people to do cool things in the world. And I'm just so grateful for that. And I'm just grateful that, again, I get used to people telling me that their life, their entire life trajectory has changed as a result of TKS. What an awesome feeling to be oh, that's such a normal thing, in a day in my life, right? So again, just very grateful, very aware of this privilege, and I'm just so excited to do so much more with it. And just overall, I feel like I'm in a good place in my life where, I'm at a career where I'm able to maximally express myself and who I am. Who I am in my career is also who I am in my personal life. There's no separation. And I am very appreciative of that. It means I can really embody my full, honest self at all times. And I'm just, again, very, very grateful for that. And again, I want to use this privilege to do meaningful things. And I want to be able to coach more people, coach more kids to do more cool things. So I'm just excited to be at this company to do that. So that's kind of what's been on my mind. That's what I've been preparing for the last couple of weeks. It went really well. It was just awesome to hear from parents, see the growth of kids from when they first came into the program to where they are now, to hear how they've developed as human beings. Yes, they've built cool technologies, but I think what was most important to me is they've built their understanding of self and who they are, right? I've been thinking a lot about AI in education, for example, right? like a good take from Naveed. He wrote this article called "Going Long on Humans," because right now, if you look at where technology is going, there is like an asymmetric amount of investment in technologies like AI, where the whole objective of that is to replace economic tasks, right? Because we want to make humans more efficient. But really what that's kind of doing is, the better these models get, it's going to be able to do any economically viable job, right? And so as parents, as educators, it's very easy to look at this and be like, holy shit, like what are kids in the future going to do, right? And so all of the money is going towards automation and reducing the use for human beings. That's actually where all this money is going, right? So the question then is like, who is investing in human beings? Who's investing in making sure that human beings are going to succeed in this transition? And this is the take from Naveed that I wanted to share, which is the industrial era or industrial age. Schools were set up as this infrastructure to deploy learning, right? So they could go to school and then participate in the workforce. Okay. Then we had like the knowledge worker era. We have lawyers, we have like computer scientists, we have IT folks. Like they go to university, get like specialized knowledge and degrees, and they were able to go into the workforce, right? But now with AI, it is fundamentally shifting everything, and I'm seeing this on a day-to-day basis. Then the question is like, where is the infrastructure to, where's the infrastructure, right? To train kids for the future. Like there's this video from Dario where he says like, the goal is to build AI systems that'll be better that'll be better at most tasks than most human beings, right? Such an absurd thing to say, but that's really the objective with a lot of these frontier labs. So all this to say, I think a lot and very deeply about what should we be doing to train kids for the future, right? What should that infrastructure look like? Like what's needed? Because so much has changed. So here's kind of I didn't know I was going to go to this topic, but if I were to just speak, here's how I think about what kids need to do, or how do we need to train students. So, fundamentally when I think about what AI does, is most people think AI takes over a job. And it's so important to decouple that and to break that apart even further. So to me, when I think about a job is like a series of tasks, right? So for example, if you're a teacher, your job is not just teaching, right? Your job has a bunch of tasks. So the task can be marking papers, checking in on kids, designing your lesson plans, actually delivering on the material, and so on and so forth, right? So jobs are a series of tasks, and AI performs tasks, right? So that's like the most useful thing to remember. Okay, the second thing, and this actually I've taken from Jensen, who runs NVIDIA, is like the second aspect of job is also there's a goal associated with the job, meaning the job of a teacher is to like empower young students, right? It's to like get kids excited about the subject they're teaching, right? So those are the two things we need to think about. Now, when we think about how AI is like placed on top of this, AI can maybe like do lesson plans. AI can help teachers prepare. AI can help students learn a lot more. But I've literally gone and talked to 3,000 kids over the last year. And every single one of them, when I ask them, do you think teachers will be replaced by AI? And they'll instantly say no, right? Because they know that they want to learn from human beings. But it will make the job of the teacher a lot easier. The second component is also very interesting, which is like, what's the purpose of your job? Like, what is the main thing you're trying to accomplish? Like, even for me as a TKS director, I use AI a lot in the way I coach students, understand things, but that's not my job per se, right? Like, my job really is to coach and train ambitious kids. And sometimes we kind of like, yes, like jobs are a series of tasks. It's only one part of the puzzle, but the other part of the job also is like more purposeful, right? Like, why does your job, like, why does this role exist in a macro lens? So I think the jobs that are really truly at risk are the ones where the jobs are just very robotic, uncreative, and not very and very deterministic. So that means there's just no creativity. There's no larger purpose attached to the job. Where the job is just execute series of tasks, those are the ones that are going to be gone with AI, right? And Jensen brings up the example of radiology. I don't know if you guys have if you've been in AI I've been in AI for 10 years, and this thing of radiology just keeps coming up where, oh my God, we're going to have AI systems that are going to be so much better at being able to look at these scans and be able to tell what's wrong, right? And so if you were to reason through that, you'd think in the beginning it would be, oh, as a result, AI will be able to do this a lot more efficiently, so we might not need radiologists anymore. Well, it turns out that's not true, right? Because if you think about it, only one aspect of the job of a radiologist is actually to do the scans. But then they have to work with the doctors, work with the patients. It's so much going on there. That's only one part of their task. So this whole narrative of AI is going to take over jobs, I think is so misunderstood, right? I personally think that for jobs that have a lot of the latter, which is a larger purpose, they're going to be completely fine. Because if they're able to use these AI tools, because what they then become is, instead of being the people that execute the tasks, then you get to be the person that works with the AI agent to really, you're the orchestrator, right? That's able to do a bunch of things. So in my workflow right now, I use a bunch of AI agents for a bunch of things, right? That I would have had to do manually. But I still have to do a lot of work to coordinate, ask them and tell them what to do, and to check on the results, to give them higher standard, to tweak things. It's now actually allowed me to do so much more coaching, right? I can go even deeper with my students. And so even though, for example, right now, I'm sure that AI could probably be a better coach than I am in terms of content, but there's so many of the pieces that are missing, right? So I'm really not worried about, so why am I saying all this? Why did this whole rant start? Because there's too much worry out there. And so if I were to give very tactical advice to young people, I would say, ask them to think about what are they doing with their job? Don't think of a job as a series of tasks. What really brings meaning for you to do, right? If there's heart and there's meaning to what you do, then it is unlikely that AI will take over your job, because you then become the kind of person that can use AI to really execute on it, right? See, AI on its own, without context and a precision on what to do, it's fucking useless, right? It gives you the most shitty answers. It's kind of like prompt engineering, right? The more precise you are with the inputs, the more precise the outputs will be. The precision of the inputs come from context on your job, what you're trying to do, what goals you're trying to achieve. And that is where a human being is needed. You can't yet get an AI to feed in that input piece, because then it's just going to be average, right? So I don't know, I'm just very optimistic about the future. I don't see the AI gloom as other people do. One, because I'm using these tools every day, and I'm still doing a shit ton of work to organize and orchestrate all these tools, these AI agents. So to circle back to, why do I think we need, so what do we need to train in young people? If I were to go back to that for a second. So number one is, I really need to train them to be very good at articulating what it is that they want. So I had this belief that, you have all your thoughts in your head, and then there's the external world. What I want to do is I want kids to have a really clean road and pathway from their mind to the external world. And the way to completely, to pave that pathway and to make it really nice is they need to get really good at articulating themselves, but also to the public and externally, right? So at TKS, I train this a lot. I train them to articulate themselves, to write a lot, to reflect on themselves, and then share it with the world as much as possible. Because what happens is when they start to do that, they become really good at articulating what they want. And when they're good at articulating what they want, they become so much better at building. Because then building is going to be a commodity, right? Because we have all these models. So the thing that's not a commodity is, how are we prompting it? to get what we want. And then articulation is going to be really important, right? So that's number one. The second thing that I think I want to train young kids to do is identify opportunity. What AI is good at is executing on deterministic tasks. What AI is not so good at is looking and identifying pain points and opportunities to solve, right? So if I give you an example, let's say I work at a company, I'll start to notice that the ways that people are doing something are very inefficient, right? But that's because I have context, right? I can see with my eyes, I can see in the way they do the work, I have an understanding of what higher standards are, and I can see, oh, there's a bit of a delta. And I'm like, okay, this is low standards work. And so you need a human in that process to be able to be like, okay, see it and articulate it, and then be able to use AI to actually to do something meaningful with it. So the human there is playing a really good role in noticing what are the pain points here? What are the opportunities? Can I just deploy an AI to go out in the world and see what are all the pain points and opportunities? I don't think so. So humans are going to need to get really good at noticing pain points and opportunities, right? And that comes from talking to people, having conversations with people, as I mentioned in the example before, right? So that's number two. I'm going to really train them hard on, and that's what I do a lot of. I ask them to do interviews and calls with researchers and professors to identify what are opportunities in the biology space, in the cancer research space, in the drug development space. Because now we have all the tools to build crazy things. We just also need to find what are opportunities we can plug into, right? So that's the second thing that I'm looking to train them on. Number three, and this is I think the last thing you need to be really successful, is iteration capacity. What I mean by this is most people have a very low bias towards action. So what that means is they have a very low desire to build things and put it out into the world. So they might vibe code things and build things, but very few, maybe less than a percentage of people, actually take that and put it out in the world and get feedback from people and then iterate on it, right? So I want to get kids that are really good at iterating, meaning they're not thinking, they're just okay, you know what? Here's a problem, I'm going to build this, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to talk to people, I'm going to get their feedback, and then I'm going to iterate on this. Because that's how people come up with really good ideas, right? Most people, when they build companies in the beginning, their ideas are pretty shit. But after you build your first version and you put it out to customers, you get their feedback, eventually you're going to start pivoting and narrowing it down to a really high, really good use case, right? So if you look at these three principles, right? So what was number one? Learning to articulate yourself. Oh shoot, I already forgot what number two was. So I said learning to articulate yourself, learning to notice opportunities, and then being good at iterating. These are, I think, the timeless kind of principles, right, that I think kids need to know. And as long as they do this, so if I were to summarize the timeless principles of education from a point of view of a student, right? Imagine if they're starting off from zero. The first task is, what are you curious about? That's it. Meaning, what do you find yourself with naturally gravitating to if there's no external push? What naturally? Look at your YouTube recommendations. What are you gravitating towards, right? That's number one. Once kids have identified what they're really curious at, number two is to continue just to pull that thread, right? To spend more time understanding it, diving deep. Number three is using a lot of these AI tools, actually build some projects on it, right? For example, if you're interested in cancer research, actually build a project, maybe to do drug design, or maybe to do protein prediction, right? There's so many projects you can build, and you can use tools like Codex or Claude Code for that. That's number three. Number four is take that project and cold DM experts or mentors in that space, like founders. Just message them at least 50 to 100 DMs. And the goal there is to figure out what's the delta between what's real and the project that I built. So when you talk to an expert in the industry, they'll be able to tell you like, hey, this thing you built is fine, but this is actually more useful, right? So the point of that external feedback is you can kind of iterate on it and then continue to move towards things that are a bit more useful, all right? So do a bunch of interviews and talk to professors or experts in the field, get some feedback, and then iterate. Then bring it out into the world, right? Put it in front of users. And then repeat. Don't stop. That's it. That, I think, in my opinion, is like the timeless principle for education. That if young people do, no matter how AI changes, like this was true literally 100 years ago, and it's true now, and it'll be true 100 years from now. And what AI will do is it'll make every step of that process, the curiosity journey, the building projects journey, the reaching out to professors journey, the putting in front of customers journey, like AI just makes that a whole lot faster, right? But can AI on its own do that? Yeah, but it's not gonna be that interesting. Just based on how AI architecture works, it doesn't make sense. Like we need humans to be able to drive agents in these ways to actually get meaningful work done, right? So my long rant, my long story short rant to this is, yeah, humans are gonna be fine. As long as they're building, putting things out there, and using AI to help them do it, they're gonna be okay. And I just hope that this is what most young people know what to do, right? Like this is like the thing, this is my entire thing at TKS, right? This is what we train on, and this is what I hope even people beyond TKS will be able to do. Right? Okay, I feel like that was a pretty long rant. I don't know, how long have I been going? Okay, I've been going 21 minutes. I wanted to do this piece on religion, but I think I'll keep that for another time. It feels like a very different topic, so I think I'll pause here for now. If you've gotten here so far, thanks for listening. All right.